All right. Well, our last speaker is Andrea Powell, who is the Chief Information Officer for CABI. And I'm not going to talk much about CABI because she's going to explain all that. But one thing I do know that CABI started in 1910. Am I right? Yeah. So it's been around for a long time. So Andrea, following her master's degree in English and French from Cambridge University, has spent her entire career in digital publishing. So what we're going to hear is a little different than the technologies we've been talking so far over the last 2 days. Starting in 1981, she started with Reuters Limited and the publishing part, and then with CABI since 1991. In 2015, she became CABI's first Chief Information Officer. With the merger between the global publishing, which you probably are aware of, CABI abstracts and so on, and books, and its division of CABI to form CABI Knowledge Business. She's now responsible for ensuring that all of CABI's activities are supported by world-class information resource and technology platforms. So she's going to talk a little different about how technology of IT for the developing world. Andrew?
Good morning. Okay, so I have a confession. I'm not a scientist, but I think even I can appreciate the amazing science that people have been talking about over the last couple of days and the potential it has to have a real impact on solving world problems in agriculture. But I can also say with probably some conviction that all of the science that is being done is completely useless if it isn't converted, if it isn't translated into actionable knowledge and practical information for the farmers who have to adopt it. If we don't get proper uptake and upscale, then the science is wasted and it stays in the laboratory. So I'm very pleased to be here today to explain a little bit more about how CABI is approaching this challenge of taking knowledge from the laboratory, from the research environment, and applying it in a very practical sense with farmers in the developing world. It was Russian, actually, I studied. I don't know where you got your notes from, Pete, but anyway. So there you go. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development sets out a hugely ambitious program, and it's underpinned by a recognition of the role of knowledge and modern information and communication technologies. Now, perhaps surprisingly, there is no single goal which calls for universal access to technology or to information. Rather, it is implicit throughout the agenda that these are catalysts for development, not development outcomes in their own right. Indeed, now that mobile phones have reached over 90% of the developing world's population, and with mobile broadband subscription easily outstripping fixed lines in those regions, the focus has very much switched to how we make use of this channel to achieve development outcomes and to improve livelihoods. So SDG 17 addresses the means of implementation and the collaboration, monitoring, and evaluation needed to ensure progress is being made, as well as the crucial role of data and evidence to achieve results. Again, unless we are able to monitor the impact and effectiveness of interventions, we won't know how close we are going to be to achieving the objectives of the SDGs. Now, we at CABI believe that fundamental to the achievement of the SDGs is the need to build capacity in developing countries to record, analyze, and evaluate the results of certain interventions and programs. If such capacity building doesn't happen, we risk creating a whole new digital divide, not between those who have access to knowledge and those who don't, but between those who have the skills to understand and interpret data and those who do not. Now, more positively, the thirst for knowledge and technological advancement in the younger populations in many developing nations is building a generation of young entrepreneurs eager to improve their livelihoods and those of their families. With the average age of a smallholder farmer now around 60, it is vital that we make agriculture an appealing business for these young people and create incentives for them to take on the challenge of increasing mechanization and modernization in the farming sector. So where does CABI come into this? Well, CABI is a not-for-profit, science-based development and information organization. As Pete says, we were founded in 1910, and we're headquartered in the United Kingdom. What do? Well, we focus on the application of knowledge to solve problems in agriculture and the environment, such as those relating to food security and adaptation to climate change. We firmly believe that many of the solutions to today's and tomorrow's problems are already known. They're just not well communicated or shared with the practitioners who can actually apply them in the field. We aim to bridge the gap between agricultural research and practice by deploying knowledge management techniques and by engaging in a wide range of development, communication, and extension activities. CABI is owned by 48 member governments, whose flags are shown here, including Canada. And as a former Commonwealth organisation, it's not surprising to see so many Commonwealth countries represented, but membership is open to all, and we now count China, North Korea, the Netherlands, and Switzerland in our ranks. Membership is growing. We have, I think, 4 member countries waiting for their governments to approve accession. However, the member countries of CABI contribute only 3% of our turnover, so through their membership fee. So CABI has to be financially self-sustaining and must operate in a commercial cost recovery basis. CABI employs almost 500 people around the world, and since completing this presentation slide, we've opened a new office in Zambia to cover our Southern Africa projects. Now, the thing that makes CABI unique in the agricultural development community, as Pete has alluded to, is our commercial scientific publishing program and the way it underpins our development programs. So the profits from our publishing business help to fund CABI's mission and its governance. Now, although our publishing business was launched in the early part of the 20th century with the first ever abstracting journal, which was the Review of Applied Entomology, I can assure you it's still going strong. But it has made an almost total transition from print to digital over the past 20 years. And in this process, we've built up core skills in content management, data processing, contextualized indexing, and online publishing. Now, given CABI's vision to be a digitally powered, knowledge-based organization, it made perfect sense to merge our publishing business with our global IT team and create what is now referred to as our knowledge business. And the knowledge business now underpins all parts of our activities, so whether that's publishing for the research and academic market in North America, or delivering actionable information via mobile phones to farmers in the fields in India, it's all driven by technology and driven by the ability to identify and to create authoritative content that can be trusted by the end user. For many years now, we've managed projects on behalf of a wide range of donors within our knowledge management program. We manage research repositories, we carry out systematic reviews on behalf of donors, and we build customized knowledge bases to support research programs. Now, one fairly recent initiative at CABI is the global multi-partner but CABI-led PlantWise program. And this program addresses the question of how to increase productivity at the farm level. But our approach is very much to focus on the reduction of crop losses due to plant pests and disease, and to help farmers lose less to feed or to trade more. A 1% reduction in crop losses could feed 25 million more people. Funded by a consortium of international development agencies, PlantWise now operates in 34 countries, where we have trained nearly 5,000 extension workers as plant doctors, and where 1,800 plant clinics are now run on a regular basis, reaching 4.5 million farmers to date. But in the context of this presentation, the really interesting thing about PlantWise is the combination of traditional farmer extension methods and information technology. We've taken a holistic approach to delivering advice in the field, gathering data from those field observations and publishing plant health information in a freely accessible knowledge bank and derivative applications, derivative apps. Indeed, without the central role of the knowledge bank, each plant clinic would operate in isolation, and the benefits of scaling up would be hard to realize. Now, the open access PlantWise Knowledge Bank is a veritable treasure trove of information, taken from CABI's own authoritative publications, such as the Crop Protection Compendium, the Invasive Species Compendium, but also from many other third-party subject experts. Its core components are a database of fact sheets in multiple languages, distribution maps showing the recorded presence of specific pests and diseases, and an interactive diagnostic tool to help identify the cause of a problem. The other part of the Knowledge Bank is a closed access data management platform where clinic records are submitted and validated, and where our country partners can analyze the results from their national clinics and take action as necessary. So it gives them ownership over their data rather than exposing it to an international audience that might be sensitive to trade. It allows the countries themselves to manage their data, analyze it, interpret it, and take action upon it. Now, this graphic here on the slide illustrates the workflow from the recording of data at a clinic through validation, analysis, and where appropriate, wider sharing. Those countries may agree to share their data more publicly, but the core principle behind the online management system is that it's a closed system. Now, the POM system, as it's known, the Plant-Wise Online Management System, includes a number of tools for the analysis and visualization of the data gathered, allowing individual plant doctors also to keep tabs on their activities and to report back to their institutions or national systems. So they can check the gender breakdown of the farmers who come to visit them in their clinics. They can monitor their diagnoses. They can check how many messages they were sent out through SMS. Now, the amount of data in the POM system is growing all the time, but the value of having lots of data is not just having it, it's doing something with it. It's interpreting it and taking action based on what it tells you. Now, the tools provided allow us, for example, to assess the quality of the advice and recommendations being given by the plant doctors, who, after all, are not CABI employees. These are the employees of their national agricultural systems. They are often experienced plant health workers or extension agents who have been working with farmers for many, many years, and we're giving them a whole new set of tools to enable them to do their job more effectively. The granular nature of the data means that we can monitor individual plant doctors and take action where necessary, but at the same time allows us to carry out large-scale analysis of trends and assess the impact of certain interventions. Now, in this particular example, we were able to monitor what happened when the Pakistani plant doctor cohort were trained not to recommend the use of particular prohibited pesticides, which sadly is a practice that's still quite common in many parts of the world. But we could see, by monitoring the data and monitoring the advice that was given, we could see that over a 2-year period, the number of times that such so-called red list chemicals were recommended dropped dramatically, proving the impact of an educational effort and allowing that government to have better confidence in their ability to trade their crops. Now, for the most part, data is still being gathered at plant clinics in paper format, using a highly structured form. However, this form-filling process is quite laborious and prone to error. So over the past year, we've experimented with a digital approach, equipping plant doctors with the simple Android tablet and a range of apps and tools to make their jobs easier and the process of data gathering more efficient and accurate. In the pilots, the doctors received a tablet that was preloaded with a fact sheet app containing all the content from the knowledge bank and a data collection app. During the pilot, it became rapidly clear that the plant doctors, the pilots were run in Kenya, Rwanda, Sri Lanka, and India. It became very quickly clear that the plant doctors wanted to be able to communicate with each other. And so a simple communication tool called Telegram was added to the tablet and the facility to send SMS messages. And of course, training was essential and greeted with huge enthusiasm, as you can see here. And we were very grateful to Dow AgriSciences, who provided the funding that allowed us to distribute tablets to this cohort of plant doctors. Now, this photo illustrates perfectly how a plant doctor interacts with his or her clients. In this instance, the doctor is able to advise the farmer and then follow up with an SMS message summarizing the advice, which in this case, she has compiled for him from the fact library on her tablet. So he has the information to hand when he gets home, and he can share it with his neighbours. And we've done studies to indicate that, on average, a farmer that visits a clinic, when he goes back to his own village, passes the information on to anything up to 10 other farmers. So the reach and the ability to scale this approach is very, very effective. So the pilot study, the eClinic pilot study, proved that we were able to reach more farmers with better advice, to collect more accurate data more quickly, to communicate more effectively, and to get better value for money from the time spent by the plant doctors. On just about every count, both inputs and outcomes were greatly improved. Feedback from plant doctors and farmers was universally positive, and here you can see some of the testimonials from them that were gathered. Now, the next picture I love, because for me, this captures the simplicity of the clinic setup and the very low-cost approach, so the very cost-effective approach to the clinics. In this instance here, we have the plant doctor on the left. He's set up a table with an umbrella, which is branded with the PlantWise logo, and he's just turned up at a market, which is where the farmers are bringing their crops and where they know that he will be there every week for every market, and so they can keep coming back to see him. But it combines the simplicity of the clinic setup with the effective use of modern technology and the transfer of knowledge to the farmer. Another feature of tablets, of course, is the ability to take very high-quality images and to add those to the knowledge bank to aid future diagnosis through remote diagnostic capabilities. Now, collecting data for the purpose of retrospective analysis and reporting is a great start, and it helps to determine the effectiveness of certain interventions, but the really exciting opportunities lie in combining plant clinic observations with other data sets in order to reveal new insights and to predict what might happen in the future. Within the PlantWise team, we've been experimenting with third-party data to understand what value our clinic data can add and how it can be visualized in order to provide such predictive analytics and useful tools. So here we plot data on specific crop growing areas, and the data set that we're using here is taken from Harvest Choice. Next, we overlay this data with records on pests recorded on that crop from the plant clinics in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Malawi. And also, we overlay the data from pest and disease reports extracted from the published scientific literature and from the IPPC's records. So we can then run an analysis, and you can see this is a moving timeline that reveals the spread of this particular target disease on a particular crop over a particular time period. And we can also monitor the speed with which such new outbreaks find their way into the official record. So this kind of analysis can identify where improvements can be made in the plant health system and how early warning signs can be picked up and acted upon. I believe that this is actually, the data on this is related to tutor absoluta on tomatoes. So very devastating crop, as we know from Nigeria, particularly recently. Okay. So this experimentation and collaboration has generated some good research papers and has also stimulated discussion about how best to build early warning systems, particularly focusing on those very serious invasive pests. Now, one unavoidable fact about information technology is that it never stands still. So we need always to be looking to the future and at what is coming down the pipe. Of course, not every new development will be appropriate for use within a program like PlantWise, so we regularly carry out proof of concept projects to identify where new technology can make a positive impact, help to solve problems more quickly, or bring a new approach. The next step for PlantWise is to extend the use of tablets in clinics and ideally to ensure that every plant doctor worldwide has access to the same toolkit. As the data gathered grows in size and richness, we'll be able to interrogate it in new and innovative ways and blend it with complementary data sets. Now that we've built a platform for multi-directional communication between all of the stakeholders in the plant health system, we need to extend its usefulness with third-party applications and new types of tools, such as remote diagnostics and other mobile value-added services. But perhaps the most exciting innovation is our use of gaming technology to develop a plant doctor simulator designed to complement the face-to-face training provided and to ensure plant doctors' skills remain fresh. Gaming techniques, such as leaderboards and badges for passing a stage successfully, can incentivize plant doctors and create some healthy competition with their peers. So the short video that I'd like to show now gives a little idea of how well the simulator has been received by plant doctors as they undertake their training.
PlantWise works alongside partners to train local plant doctors. Simulations offer a way to enhance face-to-face training and significantly extend its reach. So PlantWise developed a simulation to help plant doctors learn whenever and wherever they need to. Plant Doctor Simulator is a fun and engaging way for plant doctors to examine virtual 3D plants using smartphones or tablets. The rich and realistic gameplay allows plant doctors to investigate the symptoms of plant health issues and make decisions on what are causing the problems. Individual plant doctors are able to gain confidence in their skills through regular feedback and scoring throughout the simulation, as well as competition with their peers. The data recorded and analysed in the Plant Doctor Simulator will help to improve and refine plant-wise training modules.
Thanks. So moving on from plant-wise, I would like to pick up on the importance of the availability and accessibility of data to help us all find solutions to the problems facing world agriculture. More than ever, it is critical that policymakers, as well as individuals at all levels of the agriculture value chain, have access to the information and knowledge to make informed decisions. Open data has the potential to impact lives through more effective and transparent governance, improved government services, better targeted development programs, and improved research, science, and innovation. The Godan initiative, which is Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition, this initiative seeks to address long-standing global problems related to food security, sustainable agriculture, and malnutrition. It was conceived at the G8 International Conference on Open Data for Agriculture in April 2013 and was formally launched in October of that year with the support of a number of key governments, including the USA, the UK, and the Netherlands. CABI was selected to host the Secretariat of Godan at the end of 2014, and we've been very active in promoting the value of open data and its ability to answer some of the most intractable problems in world agriculture. Godan supports proactive sharing of open data to make information about agriculture accessible and usable. And open data isn't just open access. There's lots of information that's open access and freely accessible. Open data is readable by machine-to-machine readable open data that can be blended and interpreted and integrated with other sources. So there's a specific technical definition of open data. But Godan also promotes collaboration to harness the growing volume of data generated by new technologies to solve these long-standing problems. The Godan network is growing by the day. As of today, there are actually over 270 members, ranging from national governments to NGOs, from private corporations to research establishments and library associations. So we think back to SDG 17, which really emphasizes the importance of partnership and collaboration. We see Godan as a critical way that we can help to break down some of these barriers and improve the situation of the problem-solving opportunities that we have, because all of these organizations have signed up to make some of their data open, not necessarily all, because there are commercial operations there that have competitive issues, but they're all committed to working collaboratively on the various projects that Godan sets up to help solve these problems. So, to help Godan partners understand what membership means and how they can participate fully, the Open Data Institute was commissioned to produce a white paper containing case studies that show how open data can be used to address specific challenges in agriculture and nutrition. And importantly, these case studies demonstrate real-world problems that have been solved through the application of open data approaches. The inaugural Godan Summit is taking place in New York in September, and there's a website, godan.info, for anyone who's interested in learning more. So, a few final thoughts just to wrap up my presentation this morning. First of all, we are seeing the convergence of two key external drivers which create the perfect enabling environment for innovation around data and mobile ICTs. At a time when development agencies, governments, and other funders of agricultural development programs are seeking hard evidence of impact and livelihood improvement, at the same time, mobile technology and data science is spreading, and the uses to which it is being put are evolving to meet that need. We can already envisage a time when remote sensors and geolocated devices will be feeding real-time information back to a central hub, when citizen science will be generating vast amounts of data from actual observations, and when satellites will be compiling and distributing enormous data sets relating to weather, climate, population dynamics, and movements, and so on. But all of this data will be useless unless we know what to do with it, and unless those skills are readily present in all parts of the world, not just in a few privileged countries and research institutions. So unless we are able to build the capacity to interpret and analyze this deluge of data, we risk creating a second digital divide and leaving some parts of the global community far behind. I would argue that without these analytical skills and the ability to base all interventions on the evidence of what actually works, we are unlikely to achieve the challenges laid out in the Sustainable Development Goals. So thank you for your attention this morning, and I hope you found it interesting.